Hi there. So we just finished the second board meeting for the Eden on EOS Unofficial Trial Board, which is basically the final round delegates that made it through the most recent trial election playoff system, which is Eden on EOS. And I just wanted to preface that meeting, which is going to follow this little video here. It's a long meeting. It's a board meeting, a little dry at times. We go through our respective updates for our individual mandates, and then we run through the most recent sort of formation of the holacracy system that we're trying to roll out to sort of collect the community and get us all focused on some inline goals that hopefully deliver maximum value to Eden and, of course, EOS. So please check the show notes below. Again, it's a long meeting. The last meeting last week has 180 clicks on the YouTube video, which I'm quite shocked, honestly, and I'm sure very, very few actually made it through the whole thing because it was like an hour and 45 minutes. So this one's like an hour and a half, still fairly long. Scroll through if you're interested, but definitely check the notes below. We've got show notes, basically, or meeting notes that are up in the forum linked below, as well as the documents that are referenced. One of them is a more holistic document that goes through the entire framework, and another one just cuts out the actual roles we're looking to fill. So we've got Slack set up in many channels, and we're looking for people, community members, definitely Eden members, to sign up and hopefully look through the list, and maybe you see a few things that interest you and can bring some of the skills that you have that aren't developer related. There's a lot of roles there that require no developer or technical skills per se. It's a lot of community management and translation, and just certainly encourage people to have a look at that document. And if you're interested, submit a submission to join the Slack channel, and then we'll go from there. And hopefully we can make some great things happen. So enjoy the meeting. Hello, I'm should have the virtual background. There we go. It's officially Eden work. So, all right, this is our second Eden mock trial 2 board meeting, unofficial, yet official as far as we're concerned. So we're going to go through an agenda here. I will share my screen that has the agenda, and we'll get right into it. So first thing on the agenda, so just a reminder of our overarching mission here beyond our individual mandates, which we all each have an individual mandate from the election itself. But beyond that, we are going to develop an Eden on EOS organizational structure that is scalable, iterative, transparent, and collaborative with the entire EOS community. That mission will, we've made great strides in sort of setting the framework to have that be achievable, and that will come at the latter half of this meeting after our individual updates. So first, we will talk about the updates. You are top of the list. So from last meeting, few things here. You're going to write a draft with estimate timelines broken into different parts. People can help on what parts are available. And you'll do a GitHub project. And how's that box coming? Shall I check it, or it's still in progress?
You can check it. I published a plan. It's divided into 4 parts, where each part is 2 weeks long, which is the recommended cycle for Scrum and Agile. And it's an initial draft. It might change during the course of these 2 months period. And 1 week has already passed. And I'm in the middle of the first 2-week cycle.
Okay. Can you send me the link? I should probably know where it is, but can you shoot me the link after, and then I'll throw that in the notes.
Yes, sure. It's eosinebox.com. You can find it, and it has a link there to the GitHub.
Box.com. Beauty.
That's it. Yeah.
Awesome.
It's sort of a blog right now, so it will change at the end.
Okay. Excellent. So that's the framework then. You've done that. That's there. Suggested feedback from some community members. I'm assuming you probably have.
Yeah, I had some intense communication on Telegram with these people and some more. And I need to make a summary of all the different points that I got and the way I think I can handle them. I'm going to do that probably later tonight. I'm going to just go over all the messages and make a nice summary of that.
Awesome. And I assume you'll put that summary then at the eosinabox.com site?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
inabox.com. Good thing that URL wasn't taken. Perfect. Unique enough. I think you're fine. Okay, awesome. And then Telegram group set up to discuss. I don't know if that was needed. Did you do that?
Yeah, I have a Telegram group for this discussion, and all the people that are mentioned here and
Okay.
are in there. Yeah.
Awesome. All right. So your points are there. So basically, the next set of to-dos then that we'll highlight for next time is you're going to make a summary of some of the discussion points of the suggested, well, not suggested, but potential roadblocks, and then how you're going to handle them. And then you've got the updates coming every 2 weeks or so, I guess, as you hit your cycles based on that framework. Awesome. Mm-hmm. Okay. Anything else you want to add, Emmy?
The plan is going to change, obviously, and it's you can follow it on either GitHub or eosinabox.com. Anyone who's interested, yeah.
Okay.
And of course, if people want, they can reach out to me. My Telegram is just my name, and just let me know.
Okay. And I'll put your handle in here for the shared note.
At Ami Haynes. Yeah, you can type it. There's.
I spelled it wrong.
Yeah, Heines. EI, not AI. Haynes. Yes.
Haynes.
That's it.
Okay. Very good. Thank you.
Oh, another point is we have ClickUp. I think it's internal just for us, but we started some documents or tasks for ourselves as extra, not on the list here.
Mm-hmm.
Like expand on some documents, some initial potential, something that will be accepted or not by the next board, which will be official.
Right. Yes. Yeah. That's a continuation of the framework discussion. Right.
Okay.
Yeah. No problem. Okay. Felix, you are next, my man. So for you, you were working on a video ASAP for the Creator Now community, which I have seen. So that one was done. And then you were going to set up some Zoom calls with interested people to answer questions, get them going. You're going to train these creators to open up Own's wallet, and looking to have some content created in a week or at most 2, because they have weekly video submission goals. And you're moving, so everyone should just note that I would not be surprised if you have some delays due to the fact that you're actually moving to a new location, and that anyone who's done that knows that that's a big wrench in plans and trying to get things done.
Yeah. So and getting content from these creators in a week or 2 is a little ambitious as well. That's assuming that we get creators like right away they're wanting to hop on board. So I did release that video out to community that Monday on the 19th. Yeah. And throughout the week I got some responses, some interest, some back and forth with other creators, but so I ended up writing up like a message to everyone who pulled yes into or who voted yes in that poll that I did. So there's like 25 creators total. And so I sent that out yesterday, and I've gotten a couple responses. A couple of things that I am noticing is there's some people kind of pulling back on their initial, they voted yes, but some of them are hesitant with crypto. And then some of them, they want to know how much right away. And so my idea has been 10 EOS. And I think I am curious to kind of get feedback from this group on what you guys feel like would be a fair value to give creators. I'm also noticing too, some of the smaller creators that are really excited to get in. But I do want I just don't want to blow the funds right away, just giving it out until I would like to create like a challenge, like even and support smaller creators, but I first want to get some creators though that I know are gonna produce. Like I've watched their channel, and like the level that they're creating the videos are they're good. Like it would be good content to kind of help these smaller creators kind of model off of. I have sent my video, but my video is pretty long. The goal is to keep these videos probably like 5 to 10 minutes at length, and also with it just being like the initial idea being uh getting someone to pay for the meal. But I have also in that message kind of left it open to negotiation on, depending on, some people's channels are more specific towards like they're not really like just doing any type of ideas. So if they can kind of come up with an idea on how they can incorporate the sponsorship, I'm open to that as well. But the main thing is I'm wanting to, what I said was, showcase the ease of use of sending and receiving EOS. And so, just setting up the account. I guess I would like to kind of hear you guys' feedback on that, as well as, I did pitch of it being more of like a EOS faucet. So part of me was thinking too, worst case, I could always also just get try to see as many creators on Creator Now set up with an EOS account, and I could create content around that as well. But I mean, that's a little later down the road. I have talked to, like I said, there are some creators I have in mind that I hope to bring on board, but the initial 10 EOS, I might need I might have to bump that up for them. But yeah, I also would like to get feedback from you guys on kind of what you guys think about that.
I think when it comes to amounts, just ask them straight up. What do you want? Don't art of negotiation. Let them throw out the first number if you can drag it out of them, and then negotiate down from there. Because you let them throw out a number, and then talk about how it could be less because the value you're going to add. You're going to help them. You're going to promote them. So how about less than their ask? But here's why, and hopefully you can arrive at a good number. What do you guys think?
Well, as far as negotiation goes, I agree that the first person to throw out a number loses the negotiation. So it's always better to let somebody else throw it out. It gives you more leverage in the negotiation. I don't know. My brain is working on it. I don't know if I have. Maybe we could connect behind the scenes, Felix, and collaborate a little bit and throw in back and forth some ideas and refine some of the ones that you have. I don't have anything specific that I want to mention in this meeting, but I think I'd just like to chat with you behind the scenes.
What funds do you have now, Felix? Because I know there was that group that's aggregated some. You got the 64 additionally from AMI. So what's your total up to now?
Yeah. So I got 100 and so Randall Roland, he matched the 110, and Earthman Mark, he also matched 110. So I got 220 from them, and the 64 from Dominic. And then I'm still waiting for the other 110 from the actual election.
So you're 330 plus 64 then?
Yeah, I can pull up. I had like the account, so Felix.gm that I'm using, like I had like maybe 2 of my own in there, but then
yeah, no, it sounds right. Yeah, if Randall's giving you 110, Mark gave you 110, you'll have 110 from your own, and then the 64, so 394. Okay, good. It's just good to know, right? Because then you can sort of, how much do you have available to pay some of these more premium content creators? And then that'll also set your negotiation framework. How many of those do you want? 2, 3, 1?
Yeah, because part of my thinking too is if I just because I'm looking at like kind of the more active and kind of like the more leaders within the Creator Now community, that I think if I can get them on board, that might bring more interest as well. Because yeah, I don't know. I do see like a little bit of like hesitancy from some of the creators, because a lot of them, yeah, they have that, like from some discussion that I've had with some people, like their view on crypto is, yeah, some of them are just very hesitant because some of them think of crypto as just a lot of scams out there, and
So
but
here's one option. The ones who you're sensing hesitancy from, try to do some one-on-ones and really have them articulate exactly why they're hesitant. And then that can be something you could create content around, an answer to the questions as to why, right? So you could do like a short, here's one point, here's why, you don't need to worry about it. Here's another point, like scams, right? Okay, scams exist, sure. Is EOS a scam? No, here's why. So maybe
Yeah.
that's an option too. And then it also just keeps the dialogue going with the ones who are hesitant, and it shows that you're willing to kind of work with them. The more effort you put forth to them on a one-on-one basis, the more they're going to feel inclined to give you effort back.
Chris, just fix the spelling of Mark's last name. I think it's Stair. Or we're not talking about the same Mark.
Different Mark. Yeah.
Yeah, different Mark.
You're thinking tippet.io, and this is Earthman,
Oh,
Mark Shearer, who's got the YouTube, and he did the calendar. He's been on a lot of the
okay.
community calls we've had.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, I guess so. Another, well, I guess this could be also, I mean, something we could talk about later, but I do want to be able to support all creators, but the little bit hesitancy from my part though is I also like some of these, like, I mean, just brand new creators that have very low, like we're talking like I've seen some people under 20 subscribers reach out. Like I do want to support them, but at the same time, I'm also just not trying to, you know, I was thinking almost on that sense, I'd be more, the content I could create with that would be, I can send you an EOS, like get you set up on an account, and that's what the content's around. But yeah, like I said, I don't want to really blow through these funds, just, you know, giving out 10 for anyone who wants to hop on the idea, but yet you have a very small subscriber count and you know, you haven't, like, you're just not there yet of like, you still need practice of like creating content. And but yeah, I guess that's just something I wanted to kind of bring up as far as yeah, just some of the things that I'm kind of going on with, like trying to deal with the sponsorship with creators, because yeah,
You
like
want
the idea is to get content out there on EOS, but I also, like I said, I definitely want the first couple like initial ones to be, at least we can look towards like some, you know, well polished content that's put out there. And then, because I like the idea of it being a faucet, you know, we're getting it out to the hands of new people, but also, yeah, it's just the amount, because I did talk about 10, and that was kind of the number I've been sticking with. But now that I'm starting to realize, like with some of the smaller, you know, creators reaching out, you know, I'd rather use the funds more wisely.
I think it's a good idea to have like minimum criteria, like what you're talking about. So like no hard feelings, but it just won't be mutually beneficial if we, you know, if we don't have some minimum criteria. And so that would just kind of encourage them to like push, you know, to get enough content and get a few more subscribers and stuff.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I just wanted to kind of like, I guess, share that to be, you know, I am hoping to try to, you know, stick with what I say with my word, but also this is something I'm realizing too, now that we're capturing stuff live, like, you know, this is also like an experiment as far as like, and I'm also learning too. It's like, you know, when I kind of gave like a roadmap, like that was an ambitious roadmap, but yeah, things do come up, and yeah, sometimes you gotta just, at least I feel like, re-clarify things, or like,
Dude, yeah, don't feel any pressure. This is radical transparency, right? This is stuff that most boards and most organizational groups would not make public to the general community. So we're trying something new. And so with that, we just have to have humility and be honest. And yes, we're going to make mistakes. And yes, that's like, we're humans. No one's, I mean, if everything we delivered was polished, that wouldn't be authentic and true, right? That's like rounding all the edges and not showing. I think we need to be our rough, imperfect selves. And the fact that you're just gave an honest explanation, you're the way you're pivoting and you're switching your goals based on feedback, that's agility. That's a huge important trait, because that's what's going to lead to greater success down the road. So don't feel bad at all. I think this is awesome. You've got, like, the fact that you're hesitant to spend time on people with only 20 subs, that's a good reflection, right? Because the goal is to promote EOS. Then you should focus your energy on those with more subs so you can reach a wider audience. That's a great thing to realize partway through or early in the stage, than to realize that 2 months later and you've spent all the EOS and you realize the outcome didn't work. So no, man, this is great. Don't I think this is an excellent update.
Yeah. So the
Yeah,
moral
just,
of the
oh,
go ahead, Ami.
sorry. Felix, I'm not an expert on negotiation, but maybe you can say that you have this criteria or limit for the next 2 weeks, and then you're going to distribute a specific amount of to a specific amount of content creators, and then you're going to have another batch of EOS ready for the next 2 weeks, and maybe people will evolve and see that what happened with the ones that got the funds in the first 2 weeks, and maybe you're going to change the criteria, lower it a little bit, or make it higher, or maybe it's not going to be the number of subs, but you're going to see an improvement. They have 20 subs, but one of them has like a gradient. He has 10 new subs every week, and the other one has 5. So there might be also a derivative and not just the number of subs as a criteria for you to decide.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah, I think, I'm more now gonna think about more focusing on trying to get on just a couple creators, really focus on them. And then from there, maybe perhaps, like I said, hopefully that can bring in more excitement. And then maybe I can change it to where, okay, now let's see what you guys can do, make a contest out of it where, the best, for these smaller subscribers, the best performing one, or we can have maybe we can even do involve our Eden process of trying to vote on who do you think out of all these creators should get an extra little bonus in EOS or something like that.
Yeah. So my takeaway is you've almost tripled your marketing budget, and you're being more strategic about how to spend it. That's awesome.
Yep, 100%. That's what people in the community are going to want. Felix, right? We don't want robots. We want humans who are going to make good calls, because it's community money. So the ability to reflect, pivot, refocus, deliver maximum value, that's the name of the game. So you're doing a great job. Okay, I won't peg you down for any particular deliverables for the next meeting, especially because you're moving in a week, so you may not even be able to make the next meeting. But I'll leave that open, and I'll just leave it that you're just going to keep working with some of these creators and try to establish some relationships. I think this is your best here. Focus on a couple creators and just see if you can get them to deliver. And if you have to juice up the amounts, so be it, right? Ask them how much they want first, and then go from there.
Yep.
Okay.
And then,
okay.
Yeah, I think that should be good. The only other thing I guess I could add is, and this is out to the community for whoever is watching this as well. So because I am in this Creator Now program, I do have access to, so Eric is the guy who created this, right? This Creator Now community. He's got over 1 million subscribers, and he's still growing pretty quickly, I feel. But anyways, I have access. I have sent messages to him and gotten replies, but I also have access to his managers though too, that we can pitch deals to. If there's some way to, but this would probably require bigger funding, but but also, I don't know, I just want to kind of put that out there so the community knows if you guys have any ideas of approaching his managers on possibly doing some type of deal. But yeah, that's going to require a pretty good pitch though, but I think that would be good to have that out there so the community knows that that's also something that's a possibility in the future. But
Okay, my wife's trying to start the lawnmower outside, and she's not good at it. And we're just gonna blow it up. So if I have to run here, it's because I'm gonna save her from setting my lawnmower on fire. Okay, I'll do my update. She started it again. Let's see if she can get it running. It's not that complicated, but you know when you engage the. Oh yeah, she got it. Okay, sweet, we're there. Mind at ease. Okay, proxy updates. I have not made a ton of progress yet with reaching out because I've been focused more on the framework. However, I have made a complete plan for myself. I have it in my OneNote files here. I suppose I can just go straight to it. CFO. So proxy initiative, I've got various steps that I'm working through. Working on communication, community engagement, logistics. So I have a full set for myself to where that's just for me to work on and work through. So I've made progress, refined the spreadsheet that's collecting data. I've got email addresses for the top 21, any socials. And this is an extension of the work that Vince and Dario have already done. So I didn't do it all myself. Those guys did a lot. But that's all coming along. I had a really nice meeting with Edgar from EOS Costa Rica, and he is going to do some more customization to the EOS Rate.io tool. He will have that hopefully ready in time for me to launch this proxy, or 2 proxies probably, in about 3 weeks. So mid-August is my hopefully go live date. And he will have that ready in time to filter for Eden members. The other thing that he will try to add is a nice way to export the data, so I don't have to do too much digging into trying to go into like the blockchain itself to pull who voted for what. Because from the fireside chat last week with Dan, he was supportive of the idea, and he made a really excellent suggestion, which is of course expected from Dan, so it was great, that instead of making the subjective metric of Eden members be just a pure democracy where it's a one person, one vote type of thing, he suggested that we weight the metrics based on individuals from Eden, based on their performance within the previous election. So based on your scoring, or first of all, participation in the previous election means that I think you would have a higher weight than someone who didn't participate, as far as how we rank these BPs in the subjective scorecard. But then also, if you moved up the rankings, you will have even more weight than those who didn't move up the rankings. So I will put on headphones because I have a feeling this is going to be distractive if the lawnmower is in the background. You guys hear me okay? Can you hear me?
Yes,
Yeah, it's good.
Much better.
Okay, sorry about that. So yeah, basically, yeah. So we're going to scale the subjective metrics from individuals based on how they did in the previous election, which would mean that the Satoshi, well, we're not that word anymore. I don't even know what the replacement title is. We didn't come up with one or weren't told what it was. But I'm going to go off of the non-sortition winner. I think in this case, you pick someone, and you guys have selected me to be the representative, and I think the value in that selection should then be represented in the value of my opinion for this scorecard, as opposed to randomizing it. So I'm just going to do it that way. So that means I'll have, maybe a 64 times, depending on how we want to do the scaling. But it could be a big multiple of what my opinion is versus other people who didn't even participate at all in the election. And then as these elections take place and this changes, then the relative impact on that scorecard will change. So that's that. I am going to start probably with, Edgar has agreed to be my first interview. I'm going to do a series of interviews with each of the BPs to highlight the good that they bring, the value they bring to the ecosystem, really just do like an expose in as flattering terms as I can to really show what these VPs are doing and to help introduce them more to the community who maybe don't quite understand what each BP does and even what a BP does. So that'll be the goal. Edgar will be first on the list, and I'll be trying to pump out as many of those as I can over the next few weeks. So that'll be something that we'll see coming. Short videos, I'll try to do 10, 15 minutes, just quick questions, nice answers, just keep it short, nothing too long, and go from there. And then, yeah, that's basically my update, I think. Any questions on that?
Sounds great. Do you want to add maybe a few of the standby BPs, or is that too much to ask right now? Because they rotate sometimes.
My goal is to, yep, I'm going to go through all of them.
Yeah, just the basics, get a contact person, email, something like that to start with.
Yep, you've nailed it. I plan to go through as many of the, I'll start at the top and I'm just going to work my way down, and I can get all the way down to whatever the bottom standby place is, 64 or whatever it is. So yeah, that's the goal on me, is to work myself all the way down. I'm not going to likely get them all done in time for this to go live, but that'll be the intention, is to go through them all and then update them. So then, you know, as things change, I hope to have a dialogue. Part of this is creating an ongoing dialogue. So, you know, as things change, then do follow-up videos or do updates. BP has released this product. I can help sort of with marketing, basically, right? Market the BPs. And then especially once we get an aggregation of what the community really like, the best BPs as far as the community is concerned, then we can give them extra time and really even, you know, make them, give them even more rewards for the fact that they're so highly valued, if there's any way we can, right? So work on their behalf to express their message and their products and services.
Sounds great. Yeah.
Josh, Felix, anything to add before we move on?
Yeah, it all sounds good to me.
It sounds good. I don't have anything to add.
Okay, right on. I hope this video records everyone. I've got it, somehow it's like, I've got a pin next to my face. So I hope everyone's just looking at my head here in terms of the recording. Anyway, okay, next one down the list is, and I'll do my notes after because I can't do notes and talk, Josh. Supporting various people and projects, i.e. bootstrapping of the EOS support initiative. From last meeting, you were going to donate, and we haven't received any of these EOS, so I can't imagine this is done, but your 110 EOS will go to the EOS support initiative, and you're working with that focus group to set up the service to be made available. But generally, any other updates you want me to add here, Josh?
Yeah, so we haven't received any of the money yet, but the EOS support EOS account is ready to receive the money. And let me think about where we're at. So there's a landing page being worked on for the eossupport.io website. I don't think there's anything there right now. So there eventually will be something there.
2 S's or 1 for EOS support?
It has 2 S's like that, yeah.
Okay.
And Randall's been setting up a lot of accounts. So we have Calendly, we have Intercom. And Intercom is one of the main ones. The reason that we're going with Intercom is because, well, one of the main reasons is because not all of these platforms include like Korean and Chinese. They have, you know, they have many languages, but the languages that we need definitely have to include Korean and Chinese. So this way we can have support representatives for all of the main languages that are likely to eventually have their own Eden on EOS communities at some point, maybe. And there's conversations going on behind the scenes to recruit additional support reps. And there's just basically like a lot of setup type of activities going on right now. I don't know how soon the service will be available. I think maybe next week in our meeting, I could have a better ETA on that. It could be sooner than later. That was the original idea, was to bootstrap it. So it's possible that within the next week or two, some very minimum viable version of the service will be ready to go.
Okay, excellent. I'd say that's a good update. All right, we're 37 minutes in. Let's move on to the framework development for Eden on EOS. So this is something that Josh and I have been spending a lot of time on. And so we're going to present the document. We are going to basically, yeah, we're going to present the document right now. And then we'll go over next steps from here. So Josh, I'm going to hand it to you to maybe go over just these intro slides here, just kind of re-explaining
Sure.
sort of how this setup works.
Yeah, so as far as this framework goes, we're making an adaptation of what's very familiar in like corporate structure to have a C-suite, and we're using these particular 5 C-suite titles, which kind of corresponds to the 5 corners of the Eden logo. And it's not, you know, as we've been iterating and as some other people, like, I don't know if you guys saw the EOS hot sauce this last week, but I thought Daniel did a great job just kind of summarizing what we're looking to do here. So instead of having one officer who wears these hats, or like wears the hat of the CMO and wears the special glasses, we have an office that's sort of open to any member of Eden to participate in. And then of course there's people leading certain initiatives and have certain level of expertise and stuff like that. And that sort of separates them from the other members, but in general, it's a level playing field. If you want to go to the next. So the next pages on here are just basically like visual overviews. And I added some different links to kind of explain. So like this main graphic here is what's called a business model canvas. And it lets you look at a business model on one piece of paper. And so many people are probably not familiar with this tool. So I put some videos there to explain it and links to other related things. You can keep scrolling if you want, Chris.
And it's worth mentioning, this document for anyone watching this video is going to be attached as a Google Doc that's openable and clickable. And so, yeah, you'll be able to actually click through this.
Yeah, so same thing here. So just for each one of these, just basically like a visual and some links to explain it. And so there's just several pages for each one of those. We're calling these super circles based on the holacracy framework. So then after you get through these pages, you then land on the holacracy page. And I put 3 links at the top of this from the holacracy.org website. We're not necessarily following holacracy completely. We're adapting the framework, but a lot of people are not familiar with holacracy. So I thought it was worthwhile to put the links up there to these. These are the 3 specific things that make holacracy work. There's a constitution, there's tactical meetings, and there's governance meetings. And so we don't have to, we can just basically borrow what we like from holacracy and similar types of things, which is what we're doing at this time. And so this is basically a visual of what we've come up with so far. I'm sure over time it will change and we may have missed some things. The graphic's not very visual on this video, but it'll probably be more it'll be easier to see it. It's worth noting that we do have Slack configured to match this. That was something we did this last week. And so if you're watching this video or if you're an EDA member and you're not already in Slack, there's a link here in this document to join Slack. And we set it up because we want to kind of avoid unwanted users. So you will have to be approved and just be patient. Probably it'll happen pretty quickly or definitely within the same day. And then beyond this point, all of the blue text on the pages after this point are links to specific Slack channels that correspond to whatever the subcircle or the role is.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
And it's worth, so yeah, we're going to focus on our priorities first to get Eden members into this. They've obviously, by becoming an Eden member, have demonstrated more commitment and willingness to put in some effort towards this cause. But if you're not an Eden member and an EOS community member, we're still open to having you join and participate. You're just going to be a little bit vetted, just to, like, we're not going to leave this wide open for anybody just to jump in. So, you know, we'll have to just make sure we know who you are and you've been around and you're actually, you know, you're around, we know you. And then yes, you can still find a role in here and still contribute to the cause and participate. So we're not going to exclude non-Eden members, but we're going to prioritize them at first.
We can also encourage people to just jump in and join Eden.
It's another way to get people. If this excites people, if people are like, yes, there's actually a way. You're not a developer. There's a lot of roles that we have in here that do not require development. In fact, most don't require you to be a developer. So for all those folks out there who just want to get involved but aren't sure how, this is your opportunity. We're presenting it to you, and that you take the next step. This is we've done a ton of work here, so hopefully this is exciting to some people, and this is a chance for you to then jump in. So the CEO Super Circle has the Eden roadmap and Eden structure inside of it. And I'll just quickly read this one, Josh, and you can take the next one. So CEO's role is to augmenting Eden's value, develop even more clarity and confidence as to who we really are, what we really want, and how do we want to experience it. So with that, we can make a smoother transition from where we are now to where we want to be next. And for us, what that means is working on Eden's roadmap and Eden's structure. So both of these are not going to be something that we're going to work too heavily on. Like these we'll have part of what's going to come out of this is people are going to hopefully see some roles, sign up, join the Slack, and then we'll start some actually team meetings. So we'll start grouping up those who want to participate into particular little chunks that are going to work together, and we'll have some regular Zoom calls and try to encourage collaboration. As far as these ones go, that will maybe be like a monthly thing, maybe a little less frequent. The Ideation Contributor basically is what we have open to both of these. So people can jump in and want to participate in the brainstorming and contributing ideas to Eden's roadmap, common vision among EOS community of what EOS is and strives to be. That's, a lot of people have opinions, and that'd be good to start to hear those opinions and flush out what really is our common vision. Eden structure, that's kind of what this is, what we're working on right now. But like Josh mentioned, we're missing things. Surely this may change, absolutely. Hopefully the general holacracy can remain. Like hopefully this work is for naught, but maybe it doesn't. Maybe it turns out that there's a better system. This is too confusing. This is too abstract. This isn't aggregating the community like we'd hope. So we'll change. And then those who want to contribute to what that looks like, here's your chance. You can become an ideation contributor for Eden structure. Next one is the CMO. This is again a more zoomed in view of that super circle and all the sub circles. And then there's even circles within those. This just allows you to sort of see more closely inside of these. But more importantly will be to get down to the actual roles themselves. And Josh can explain, what the Eden member experience phases are. And that's something that sort of been missing. And here that is right here. Josh can take it away.
Okay, yeah, so probably this is the largest super circle of all of the stuff that we have if you looked at the graphic, and I think it doesn't represent every single thing right now. So if something feels like it's missing, it's just because we need to fill it in more. And so I'm going to read this little description. The idea here is that we're developing what I'm calling Edens. And when we say Eden, we're really kind of talking about Eden on EOS, or this first iteration of Eden community. Eden's front-end systems. And so front-end systems in this context is like what the users or the members can see and interact with. And back-end systems in this example would be like what the administrators see and interact with, like the people behind the scenes. Like if this was like a stage production, the audience would see what's on stage, but they wouldn't see what's going on backstage. And so that's what I mean by front-end systems. So the idea is that we want to deploy a well-oiled marketing system that can attract and sell and service and retain. In our case, we're looking to have 10,000 Eden members. And we want to do that in a way that's noticeably or obviously beneficial and helpful to everyone that we interact with. So that would mean if we really were doing best practices for marketing for Eden itself, there would be a lot of people we would be interacting with who never join Eden, but we would still want them to get value from our interactions, if that makes sense. And so so going into this, one of the circles within this super circle is the Eden member experience, and we've broken that down into phases. Do you want me to go into these first two ones, Chris?
Just sufficiently. I think that is, yeah, enough to explain it and really highlighting these roles. Like now, anybody who wants to participate, anything in bold is a role. So you're going to see a role. Any of these blues are the Slack channel. And if you want to be a member discovery specialist or a member onboarding specialist, and you can have many roles. If you could click all these if you want, in terms of both Slack channels. But anything in bold here, like this, is going to be a role, and that means we're looking for people from the community. So as long as we just kind of highlight that, Josh.
Yeah, well, I think what you did was probably good enough. So if we don't tell them anymore, they have to go and read the document.
Yeah, true.
Yeah. So, I mean, basically, we've got 4 phases outlined. We're putting emphasis on the first 2 phases, just really tightening that up. And this is one thing I wanted to chat with you about, Felix, behind the scenes.
Okay.
We can move on to the next one.
Yep. Sure thing. And we're not working phase 4, not so much worried. That's like the end game. And so we're not focusing on that yet because really Eden doesn't have an end game problem. We have getting started with Eden problem and discovering Eden in the first place.
Yeah. But it's there. If there is somebody who's really passionate about developing end games and gamification and stuff, which hopefully there are some good game theorists in the community, that is an area that we need some help with eventually. Okay, so then we've got EOS creators and EOS support. So EOS support is just the initiative that we talked about. EOS support needs support representatives and community ambassadors. And the community ambassadors are people who are maybe actively scanning posts throughout the EOS community, and they're assisting people who have questions or who need some sort of direction. So it's just kind of like broad community management activity a little bit. And the other thing that's notable for EOS support is these different languages that we're putting emphasis on. With EOS creators, I think the idea here is this is sort of the way that I've been thinking to summarize where I think you might be going with your initiatives, Felix. So there's people who are creating content around EOS, and then there's the need to create an actual team of creators. And I don't know if I think you've said some things along those lines, Felix, and I know your vision for like what you're doing in your life is bigger than that, like as far as creators go. But I think there's an opportunity to really assimilate all of the content creators for EOS, and also maybe like bring a lot more people on and create a very healthy ecosystem where these creators are making, they're doing quite well in terms of the different ways that you can monetize being a creator. And hopefully they're attractive to people beyond the EOS community, because one thing going on right now, like if we look at a channel like Everything EOS, which has for a long time been very well respected, they have like a little more than 4,000 subscribers or something. And that just kind of goes to show you how small the EOS audience is. There's nothing wrong with having a small audience. Like there's a lot of like loyal people that are tuning into these channels. And like EOS Nation, like they do a great job with their content, but their subscriber base is a lot lower even than Everything EOS. And so there's a lot of room to have creators, I think, that can bridge the gap. Like, I don't know how, maybe that's not what everyone wants to do, but I think that's sort of an opportunity. Like, how can we have things going on where it appeals to people who know nothing about EOS and somehow still brings people into EOS? Does anyone, while we're talking about it, do you want to chime in on that, Felix?
Yeah, so I think like having like creators that are there's just different types of creators. I think you have like we can have like educational. So like that's some things that I've been thinking about making is just some very simple videos of like how do you set up a wallet, like to very easy intro videos. But then I think also the sponsorship route, I think, is probably the best bet of just getting content out on EOS rather. I mean, you can have EOS specific creators, but that I think is that falls more into the educational technical side of things. So yeah, I guess kind of my approach is for mainstream is to try to get more of like, yeah, if we something simple where it's like you're exposing or you're showcasing EOS, but it's also just like something that can be added easily to just any normal creator's channel. Because I think, you know, as crypto starts to get like, I mean, if crypto starts heating up again, you know, everything just gets really hot, and so everyone wants to kind of dip their feet into like something that's trending, especially creators. They call it trend hacking, and so yeah, I think probably the best bet right now to bring creators on board or people talking about EOS is probably through sponsorships. But I think, you know, if we, you know, later down the road with funding, I was thinking we could have like bounties out for certain educational videos. Like, hey, why don't we have, yeah, like all the different features of having an EOS account and like multi-sig, like just more technical things like educational based, but have more like we could put bounties up, and then if we could create some system where we have voting, like, okay, like you have a deadline to submit your video, and then everyone who submits, then it'll be judged to receive funding, and maybe that the funding is distributed because like everyone who's creating content is adding value in some way, but you always have like the top tier of content, like, okay, they killed it, like they hit all aspects, it was entertaining, they brought in a lot of viewers. Yeah, I think it would be interesting of like kind of incorporating like the Eden process of like for electing representatives, but if we can like a way of maybe voting for yeah, you know, voting on things, and then also including the distribution of like of the layers of voting. I don't know, that's just, I like the playoff thing is like, you know, you randomly get put in here, so like you have like, let's say we had like 16 videos all created on account creation, like we'd have some voting. I mean, that's probably a little bit too specific. Just like to run a whole process of voting just for videos, but I guess that's kind of like the way I think about it, is if we can have some system that get the community to vote on how we fund content and sponsorships, but also having like a bounty program to be like, okay, we would like to have some content based on EOS that talks about this. So like, if you can make a video that discusses these topics, you'll be entered into this pool of funding that was set aside just for this topic of education. Yeah. Yep,
that all makes sense. You know, I was thinking,
I know that would be something that would drive me, because my thing too is I'm thinking about like I do like create, like right now I've been creating everything around crypto and EOS, my content, but also I have thought about also including other things in my life too that's not just crypto specific. But if I had a place where I was like, okay, there's a bounty out here to create a video, to incentivize me to create a video about, it's more educational based, like I would take it, because like it's a way of being able to get funding and support for my channel.
Yeah, what you just said, Felix, is kind of one of the things that I'm thinking about. I think maybe we should put more thought into what this can be. Like initially, it's just people who are already inspired to create content around EOS, but for you to have a channel where you sometimes rotate EOS into the ratio of the content that you have, but you also have things that like maybe a lot of your subscribers don't care about EOS, but they just keep hearing about it for like 6 months or 8 months. you know, every once in a while you drop something about EOS and it's not their favorite thing, but at some point, you know, it might make sense. And then you've already got trust and relationship established with them. But if you take that approach with your channel, which is more of kind of a personal brand, you're going to appeal to a lot of audiences outside of EOS in the process. And I'm wondering if maybe we should try to have more channels and creators kind of like that, and maybe even put more emphasis on promoting things that are built on EOS, but it doesn't really, like, you don't even need to know that really. It's almost like a side effect thing. So as more companies are encouraged to pop up and do things, and you don't necessarily, because for EOS to really become adopted, like, who cares that it's running on EOS or however many EOS.io side chains? What is the, if we build compelling products in this ecosystem for mass adoption, probably nobody's going to care what technology stack that they're running on most of the time. And so in that case, it'd be like supporting these companies and those projects. I know we're in like a weird place where like we need to develop the actual like developer ecosystem and people who want to work with the technology. But I think where we're going is supporting companies who are doing things with EOS, but like that's not their value proposition. Their value proposition is like, this is like a really, like Upland, for example, like it's a cool game, and the fact that it's on EOS is great, but it has nothing really to do with the value proposition of the game too much.
Yep. Okay. Great dialogue, fellas. I say we keep plugging through here. So in terms of the languages, we only have a couple listed, but by all means, if you're in the community and you want to help with the German translation or pick your language, just let us know, and we can create a separate channel for that and sign you up to the team. And then when a particular language person comes through, it might be some Arabic and other types of languages there. I know we have community members, so don't let this feel limiting. We just didn't write them all out.
Yeah, I guess there's some overlap there between like EOS support like supporting things in different languages, and then like you're technically creating content in some regards. But also Chris had mentioned there that you know, the element that having the people who are multilingual or speak these other languages natively, having them as, that's one of the main things I think for EOS support to be able to do is we have a multilingual community and we need to make sure we support them as much as we can. So then on the other page that you have there, Chris, we have owned media, and then we also have shared media. So for owned media, I don't know, should we read one of these disclaimers? It says, please note that roles below will not be available to any and everyone in the community. This list and respective Slack channels, remember each one of these blue text is a link to a Slack channel. They're meant to provide information to the community and perhaps can contribute if deemed appropriate. So like, for example, there's like Gray Mass is in charge of EOS forums, and they may have delegated some of that responsibility to somebody else, right? So it's not really like an option for anyone to like just come over. Like there's already kind of a control structure there. So each one of these roles is kind of like a community manager type of role, and these are things that Eden and Eden on EOS have some level of responsibility for, I would say, and it's kind of like the community owns these things. There might be something missing from the list, but that's the list, and they have corresponding Slack channels. And then the other one is shared media. And so, you know, same type of disclaimer, but this is, and by far we did not put everyone on this list yet. We had so many other things to do. So we'll build the list out more. But basically, like, there's people in the network who regularly are featuring Eden or EOS related stuff. And so that's an opportunity for us to have like a coalition or an alliance with these different channel owners and administrators where we can have, we know that things will get regular coverage and they'll be painted in a positive light. And there's like a mutual understanding that we want the EOS ecosystem to thrive. And so we have a few things listed here. And that's basically it. That's what we have right now for CMO that we can focus on and leverage. And hopefully you guys can contribute to expanding that circle and filling in the details.
Yep, that's it. for CMO, lots there. Hopefully there's a lot of people who are willing to jump in and and in terms of like how much time we're expecting for some of these things, just up in the air. Like for example, the translating bits. Ideally, it'd be excellent if we could translate almost all of our stuff to different languages that's available, but that's a lot of work and there's no funding for any of this quite yet, right? So this is all volunteer stuff. We're hoping that with funding that we can start to pay for some of these core functions and incentivize people to put forth the time. There's going to be some tipping related to the EOS support, so that will hopefully help incentivize some people's efforts. But so it's just the best we can in terms of what we choose to, or what is going to be translated, or what people are willing to translate the time they have. Okay, so moving on to CVO. Yep.
I just realized what we should have also probably added was paid media, and then the human faucet that Felix is creating would go under, like that's a paid media initiative, right?
Yep. True.
So we need to add that one.
Okay. Okay. CVO. So we'll scroll through here. Here we've got a few more. This is where there's a couple more roles. Eden on EOS membership, so membership growth specialist, and that's to help basically growing out the membership. And some of these overlap, so we're going to have some people who are kind of going to do. There's like in terms of the member experience phases, there's certainly an overlap here, but that's here as well. We've got one of the ones that did come up a lot as part of the innovation engine, so inventing new ideas and value propositions, going from 0 to 1. This came up a couple times during the recent election. One was Douglas Bunter's proposal to build a EOS Meta GitHub repo, and so that's one thing that definitely can help aggregate projects and start to have people collaborate on some code and putting forth some proposals that way. The other one that came up was with Mel Pierce and John Heater's proposal to a bit of a standalone website to collect proposals and projects that are looking for support. So there's also like overlap, right? Pomelo, we know that's coming. That's going to have projects listed on it.
And Vincent at EOS Nation has the whole thing that his students have built and even made improvements on, I think, he said it could be implemented in Pomelo, or it could be implemented in the Eden member portal, or it could be implemented, wherever it makes sense.
Yep. And Vince is worth shouting out. That guy has done a ton of wicked work. He sent over a spreadsheet that has a ton of links and just waiting to be populated with all these different various sources and data points around EOS that will be extremely useful. So that'll come up. That'll end up living in one of these Slack channels and becoming, hopefully people can contribute to and add to that. We don't have it here to show, but it was excellent work, and we're definitely going to include it. And he also did a really, really detailed and well done mind map of just how EOS can work with various DAOs and various projects, the NFT creation and different enterprise services and all sorts of stuff. So it's really, the guy deserves a shout out. Is excellent work, and we're not highlighting it so much here, but it's going to come. That's going to show up later because there's quite a few things that we're not able to quite get to yet while we formulate this framework and try to get people engaged. But that's definitely coming.
So there's probably other projects that could be added to this list for the innovation engine. The main point is has the project gone from 0 to 1? The EOS power up thing, I don't know if it really belongs in this one or in the execution engine. I think the reason we put it in the innovation engine was because it has market traction in the EOS community, but I don't know if it has a sustainable business model. So I don't know if it's like really working out like in the bank, at least for John. So we might need to just kind of push that a little bit further to get fully from 0 to 1. But if John disagrees and if he feels like this is like 1 and now it's working and it's got a sustainable business model and we want to take it from 1 to n being an integer, then we could move that to the Eden execution engine. But basically there's probably a lot of stuff that we didn't add to this list for both of these things. So we need to populate the list of things that Eden can help incubate and accelerate.
Yeah, and there is innovation engine is blue, so that's a Slack channel. So you can join that channel, and it's not necessarily tied to an individual project. But if you've got, other ones that aren't listed here, that's the channel you want to be in. So then you can have your project show up here as well. And then, I mean, we've got yours here, EOS in a box, and at some point in time, you're going to need auditors and support there. So we've just left this bolded for now. But again, there is a Slack channel that people can still jump in on, and at least you can collect some names.
Yeah, two edits right here. I don't know if you're able to edit anything. Probably.
We can edit the real one later. Yeah.
So where it says project execution specialist, it says identify and work with emerging products and services. I would say for this, that would be you'd be working with existing products and services.
Okay.
And the emerging would be more the innovation specialist. And then the possessive S for John Heater, it looks like that's a quotation instead of an apostrophe.
Here?
Power up.
Oh, that is. Yeah, oops. Okay. We'll fix that. Emergency resistant and heater. Okay. Execution engine, yeah, you mentioned that already. So that's going from 1 to N after it's already been innovated on. So that's straightforward. And here, again, just, execution specialist. You don't even need to be a specialist, just interest and join the team. Worst case, you'll learn a whole bunch from people who are more experts on this particular topic. Okay, COO operations. So here, not a lot. COO developing the back end, like Josh explained before, what we don't see behind the scenes. And here we want to magnetize members with confidence, keeping members happier, get them better results, and do it in a way that allows us to have more autonomy and enjoyment so we do not work all the time, which makes sense. And when we're talking magnetizing here, we mean in the way where we collect. So almost opposite polarities, even though, it's the same polarity would repel. You get what we mean. Okay, Eden Treaty, that is...
The idea there is like it's very attractive if our operations are running real smooth. It's like, oh, I want to be a part of this.
Exactly. Eden Treaty, this is the peace treaty, and that is no role here. This is completely within Dan's purview and control. So it's here because there could be a channel. People might want to comment on this, and this is the location where we can have that happen. Same with the bylaws. We're not putting ourselves into anywhere near those. That's all under Dan's wings, so he gets to take care of that. Eden elections, and this is a big one that came out from the last election, and you'll notice we have quite a few roles for this particular section. And we're going to focus, so there's two sections here, the pre-election and post-election. The actual election itself was handled manually by Dominic in the last election, and not easy, right? Not easy for Dom to be able to juggle all those people in Zoom and in and out and trying to get everyone the right channel. Like that's a big pain in the ass. Dom did a great job, still a pain in the ass. So that is going to be resolved with the actual smart contracts that the Clarion team is working on. So the actual election process, I'm leaving out of here for now because that's kind of within the Clarion purview. And so we're going to focus on pre-elections, which I think a lot of us can agree was maybe part of the reason for the poor turnout of the last election. And so we're going to, hopefully we get a few people, like this is where I'd really like to see a few people sign up and help make this happen. An election sign-up coordinator who establishes and curates the process for individuals to sign up to an upcoming election. Easy enough. I mean, some of these are going to take a long time. Setting up a Google form and just making sure it's appropriate and we can update it as needed. That's it, the job's done. You're done with that one, right? But the next one I think is going to be important. It's the post sign-up communication coordinator. And this is where I think we had a big gap in the last election where people signed up, but then they didn't really get anything. Like what happens next? So here we want to establish and execute a protocol for the participant journey after they've initially signed up. So they'd receive a response email, they get a calendar invite, they could get entered into a dedicated Telegram channel well in advance of the election. So that way, and then follow up emails as we get closer. And that here then shows up in the ongoing communication coordinator, and that's establishing and executing ongoing communications to register participants. So maybe every 2 weeks we send them an email, some key, maybe a video came out from the community on how to, and just try to keep that engagement from the people who have already signed up. So then and also like a bit of a countdown, so they remember that, hey, this is coming up, don't forget. So these are going to be some key roles to help with more participation in the next election. If it's official, well, probably still value in having this. In fact, I'm sure there's still value in having this, even for an official election, but definitely for the unofficial elections where we don't have all the members, in an existing Telegram chat. And then, of course, there's the post-election. So what happens after an election? And we want to make sure that we need an election results updater, somebody who's going to coordinate the relevant websites that have all the information about this and work to get those updates. So that way there's the Eden EOS website, for example. I don't think it's quite updated yet. So we just need somebody to help push that along and have the contacts with the website admins to make those changes. And then an election follow-up participant coordinator, where basically following up with the election participants so we can emails, questionnaires, and future event planning. So just kind of keeping those contacts and finding out what people thought. So that's all really important. That is sort of just ad hoc right now. There's no one really doing this per se. So I think this is a big one for us to really formalize and improve our election process, which is going to be really important for trying to bring in new Eden members, especially when it comes to people who aren't members and they want to participate. Last one here, place just not taking too long, is just Eden resources and an Eden protocol manager, developing rules and procedures beyond the scope of Eden's bylaws. So this is also a pretty, it says manager, but we're going to have, might be the wrong word in fact, because we want to have many people, right? We want to have a lot of people contributing to a dialogue about what types of rules and regs could exist beyond.
It could be worth mentioning that like one role doesn't have to be one person. Like many people can play a certain role. So, with protocols, like what is our protocol for using the Eden on EOS YouTube channel, and like who decides if we use ClickUp or Slack or that kind of stuff, and vets these different things. And trying to do things in alignment with the vision that the Clarion team has, which is, eventually building Clarion for like communication purposes. But in the meanwhile, we need to like bridge the gap between where we are and where we want to go, and also try to do it in alignment with kind of our agreed upon values of becoming more independent and that kind of thing. So that's kind of what we mean by protocols. There's maybe not everything's going to be addressed in the bylaws for us to be able to function as an organization. And the protocols, probably we have to make sure that they don't break the bylaws or the treaty or anything like that. And then we have the Eden volunteer manager, which is basically almost like a human resources type of person, like a go-to person for all volunteer related issues, such as recruiting and interviewing volunteers. And if anyone's getting paid, someone's got to administer that pay. And definitely, like going back to the bylaws and the treaty, we have to enforce organizational policies and practices. So again, this may not be just one person doing that, but it's something that seems like an activity that needs to be constantly done here as new members volunteer for things.
Yep, exactly. And it might turn out that some of these roles don't belong in this sort of structure we're putting up. This is a volunteer, it's not official. Perhaps, there'll eventually be a more official Eden organization that isn't changing from election to election, right? That's been talked about. So perhaps some of these roles will eventually just become enveloped into that more stable structure. But our intention here is to get as many people from the community to participate and jump in, and hopefully we can aggregate a lot of really thoughtful and caring people to deliver maximum results. And that, there's still more shit. CFO. Okay, last one. CFO, we got to make some money. So we've got costs. There's just some known costs here that we've listed out. We don't need to go through them all. This document will be available, but there's some thoughts on what costs will eventually exist for Eden. And then Eden needs to be an entity at some point to handle actual funds coming in and out. So that this isn't all within our purview.
It may need to be an entity.
Something's got to collect money and pay it in the eyes of the law, right?
Well, I mean, if we're just transacting in EOS, it might not be an issue, but when it comes to like owning domains and properties and different things, there generally has to be some type of legal entity.
Yeah, not financial advice. If you're collecting EOS as a payment for something and you choose not to claim that, we didn't tell you to do that. So, and again, this stuff, it's here just for a placeholder. We'll have a Slack channel, but this may not necessarily be something we can really, may not be within our scope. And we're okay. We're not trying to push ourselves into anything that is going to piss somebody off who this should be like Dan, right? This might be a Dan thing for sure, and we don't want to impose it. No, we're going to try to do it. We just want to collaborate.
Guys,
Eden,
just something popped up in my mind. Do you think we need maybe to have a lawyer, an accountant that will advise private companies on how to deal with EOS or Eden or whatever? Or is that too
Eden,
early?
it's too early for now. Definitely too early. We'd never be able to pay them, but maybe Eden as an entity that provides all these services and functions within the community, that might be another function or service that there might be a lawyer or an accountant within the Eden community who can then become an Eden member who can be paid. That would be something. It's probably going to be needed. Is it provided by Eden explicitly? Hard to say. I think so. If Eden wants to grow and scale and become this big organization with tens of thousands of members across different languages and communities 5 years from now, with dozens of millions of dollars flowing through from self-generated revenue and inflation or whatever, then yeah, there's going to be a need for some lawyer and accountant support, I would say. But I think you're right. Too early now, though.
Okay. Yeah, early, I know.
Yeah. And then the other thing that's just listed here, again, there's a Slack channel, but there's not much we can do, and no rules here. It's just the funding. These are just a list of some of the ideas that have come through, but there's certainly value in having a dedicated Slack channel to talk about this for people who have questions and suggestions, especially. Eden Proxy, a bunch of members, a bunch of options here for people to help support this. Looking for people to help collect data from the BPs, and so they can dig into the BP's contact info, looking for their tweets, looking for different language, WeChat stuff they do, how often they're using socials. That's all stuff that's going to be time consuming to track, but important to track and to present to the community. Once the proxy is launched, we need to collect data on a monthly basis to update the BPs and or at least update the ranking of the votes for the proxy. And then proxy initiator, that'll be me. A lot of these, by the way, as we go through these, are going to be us. Like, I'm going to sign up for almost all these if I can. I'm sure Josh will as well. I mean, you've got more coding to do, Felix on the content creator side, but certainly I think Josh and I will end up probably signing up for a lot of these as we go through. Web page manager, that's something that needs to happen. Not sure how to do it yet, but we need to basically create a landing page probably for all of this, and part of that could be the proxy can fit in there, or we can have just a separate page for the proxy itself. These are all options, but manager to help with that. And then BP engagement focus as well, BP communication initiator. If someone's got a bunch of contacts and they have made friends with a lot of BPs, click this one and join in on the Eden Proxy channel, Slack channel, and help with that and help put me in touch so I can do some of these interviews and stuff. And maybe instead of me trying to cold call them and them ignoring my emails, if you can help with networking, that would be helpful. Again, here it is, networking support. So helping to make contact on behalf of the proxy with BPs. And then content creator. Again, this of course is, there's other spots that we've found, but in general, we're going to be creating content around BP engagement. I'm certainly going to be taking the lead on this, but that doesn't mean that others can't help me and even create more content. There's no harm. The more the better. And that is it for this. That was a lot. Appreciate your patience, everybody. Any questions per se on the document before I just go through these last notes and we can conclude the meeting? No, we're good.
Yeah, very long, very comprehensive.
Okay, good. It is long. And so what I will do is I think we'll post a couple documents. I'd like to just do a TLDR of what we just showed here that just has the roles. Skip all the other fluff. So if you're really looking for a role, I'll just give you a short sheet that you can look at and just quickly see all of them in 1 or 2 pages, as opposed to the 20 some odd pages you'd have to scroll through here. So we'll provide that. So there'll be a few documents that will come out of this meeting that'll be attached to it, either in the community forum. We'll have links there. I'll do a summary post with this video, tweets, Telegram, all that shit. It'll be out there. So hopefully people can find. When in doubt, just contact us directly and I'll point you to, or one of us will point you to the actual link with the breakdown. Yeah, I'm going to do a video tomorrow. Is my plan is to do a summary video of this whole presentation tomorrow and see if I can record and edit and kick it out in a day. We'll see how quick I am. And then once the team, so we're going to then hopefully people start to sign up. We'll aggregate everybody into Slack. Apologies if there's delays because we're going to manually basically approve people based on whether we know them. And then once the teams are formed, we're going to set up some kickoff meetings and try to do regular Zoom calls that are open for people to join, or at least recorded, flexible. But I'd like to, if we can, continue on this idea of very much transparent progress. For those that are interested, then they can watch the videos. Surprisingly, like 180 views on last week's board meeting. I'm sure not everyone watched all of it, but even 180 clicks is pretty impressive, I'd say. It's a board meeting. I mean, who really wants to? Who's clicking on a board meeting? It's not even like titled like a clickbait title, like nothing like that at all. So yeah, and then we'll do regular meetings. So we'll try to do regular meetings for this. Maintain team alignment, tracking progress, providing support from the board where needed, and just keeping all these moving with the goal of sort of delivering maximum delivery on all these goals within the duration of this particular term. So ideally, we just nail out a shit ton as a community, and we can look back and when the next election comes, all the people who contributed, you're going to be able to use that as part of your pitch as to why you should be elected for the actual official election. Because hey, look at the work I've done that I've donated to the community. This is the output. And you're going to make relationships, so you might actually be teamed up with people in election, and then they're going to be more likely to vote for you. All of that is going to be really useful. So hopefully we make great progress in the next few months before the September-ish election, which was the last estimate that Dan gave us. That's it. Any final thoughts, John?
Do you think we're going to make the next meetings shorter?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, this is a lot. Like we've gone. The next meeting should just be updates and updates. That's it.
Good.
We'll just do updates. This is. I appreciate your patience, Amy. I mean, I know you're on.
No. It's the patience of the people that need to view this afterwards. You say 180 people watch the board meeting. They're not going to watch this long one.
No, they won't. If you made it this far, hey. No, we'll. That's why I'm going to do a TLDR a bit, like a short video summary of just what we want, and I'll do the written piece too. So anybody who just wants to read quick short notes, that'll be available for those who just love the sound of our voices.
Can you also add just an intro to this video, a short intro saying there's going to be a TLDR video of this one, or
I could
it's
do
just
that.
going to be a text TLDR?
I could do a quick little recording, throw on the suit, so I stick with my classic EOS news garb.
Yeah, so people say, oh no, it's so long. But if you say at the beginning that there's a summary, even if it's written, and you have a link down at the description of the YouTube, then it's better.
Okay, good suggestion. I'll bang it out and get these notes out with the video today. The rest of my day is going to be spent on this. So
thank you.
Great idea. I'll do that. And future meetings will be shorter because they're just going to be updates and not presenting a whole huge framework document, which is the point of this one. So Josh, Felix, anything to add?
I went ahead and made some of those edits. So I added like the paid media for the EOS faucet, and I created the Slack channel for it and put the link in there and stuff. So that was, I don't know why that wasn't already in the document. My apologies for that, Felix. If you want to if you want to go into the document and edit it and assign any roles that you want other people to play to like help you out with that, just let us know what needs to happen. And after we talk, maybe we can figure out what to do for building like a team of creators that maybe serves like multiple purposes too, if that's something you have an interest in. Talking about the people like setting up the bounties and the stuff that we talked about. That was some pretty good ideas. Appreciate your guys' time. I think we made some good progress this week, particularly with that. What did you call it? Like a mission for this term? Is that what you called it, Chris?
Yep. The setting up the framework. Yep. That's scalable, iterative, transparent, and collaborative.
Yeah. So hopefully people respond well to it, and we start getting, we're able to channel some enthusiasm, and then we'll see what comes out of that the next couple of weeks. Yeah.
I'm surprised more people didn't shit on this idea, to be fully honest.
Yeah. I'm extremely surprised.
It was pretty well accepted. No one's like, what is this structure? You guys are idiots. This will never work. I didn't see any of that. Like I didn't see a single negative comment. Like maybe I didn't look at every comment, but I didn't notice anything. So good. It's a good sign.
Yeah, good sign.
We'll keep doing it then until
maybe they're exhausted. the
Hard,
critics.
hard to keep up. Hard to keep up with the energy of those who are enthusiastic, right? If you had a race between someone who's bitter and pissed off and someone who's fired up and engaged, I'm going to bet on the fired up and engaged guy every time.
Okay.
So
Yeah, good.
that's us. We're fired up and engaged. Okay. Well, thanks guys for your time. Love it.
Thank
Felix, good luck with your move, man. If you can't make the next one, fully understand, and we'll be in touch. We'll go from here.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.